Welcome back tuning into today's video. We've had an update from the Japanese model for the next 3 months. So I'll have a quick look at the charts going from July through to September in today's video. We'll also have a look at weather coming up next week. Could turn a bit cooler from the north. Maybe a few showers coming down from the north as well. So have a look at those charts. Also, in a moment, before I get on with the longer range update pages, we'll talk about the advertising in this video. Advertising pages at GazMovies.com. If you play on video ad, you'll be supporting GazMovies.com. Thanks very much for doing that. So this is the 500 millibar height anomaly chart from the JMA model, the Japanese model. This is the anomaly for July, first of all, on the Northern Hemisphere view. We'll have a look at the view of the mid-latitudes as we go through to the next set of charts. But we'll start off looking at the Northern Hemisphere view because it's easy to make out what's happening, or it's easier to make out what's happening on these charts. So, as I say, this 500 millibar height anomaly, first of all, for July, and here's the British Isles just here, upside down, as we always are on these Northern Hemisphere charts from the JMA model. We're in the blue colours there for July, so that is a trough of low pressure around the country. That's quite an unsettled signal for July. It's not particularly cold because the air is coming up from the southwest or the south, so it's pretty warm really, but it's unsettled. Probably be above average rainfall, maybe some thunderstorms with that. Now, as we go through to the second month, which will be taking us through to August, then we get a bit of a change. The trough starts to lift out and move up towards the northwest. We get a ridge of high pressure beginning to set up to the east and the southeast of the country, a ridge of above average heights, and the event of that, the consequence of that, will be to start to shift winds into the south or the southeast. So that could potentially be a very warm month in August. That's around the peak of the temperatures, of course, on the continent. So that's a pretty hot anomaly, actually. I'm quite surprised about that. I was expecting perhaps a deterioration to go through to late summer. If that's right, we're looking at a hot August potentially coming up, so we'll have to keep an eye on how that one develops. And then as we go through to September, well, September very often a settled month, of course, and what the JMA does for September is it builds the high pressure in right over the top of the country, the ridge of above average heights. That will be a very quiet month. Probably quite warm as well by day. By night it could be getting cooler, of course. The nights are getting much longer by the time we get through to September, so we'll probably be turning cooler at night. But certainly by day it could be quite warm. Maybe a lot of settled wear with that, generally dry of an average. Pretty typical sort of pattern actually for September. Nothing particularly out of the ordinary. September is, along with March, just about our most settled month. Now let's have a look at the mid-latitude view, see how this breaks down in terms of temperatures and precipitation. Here's July first of all. Again, the 500 millibar height anomaly for July, showing that once again we've got that trough of low pressure virtually in right across the country, below average height, sitting there around the country, the blue colour. So it's an unsettled July, if that's right. The rainfall backs this up with a wetter than average month being predicted. We're up here in the top right-hand corner of the chart as you're looking at it. So a wetter than average month being predicted for July. Not cold though, because winds are generally from a southwesterly direction around that trough of low pressure, so temperatures, if anything, are around or maybe even a little bit above average. Quite a mildish sort of month. As I say, there could be some thunder mixed in with that, if that is correct. Now, as we go through to the second monthly period, which is August, remember in August the model wants to start to build in high pressure to the east and the southeast, or above average heights anyway. So first of all, there is the 500 millibar height anomaly prediction for August. Again, we've got that to ridge of above average heights there to the east and the southeast of the country. The trough of low pressure is lifting off to the northwest, so that would be a potentially a warm month, if that's right, and a drier month as well. And yes, we do see that the rainfall is coming up nearer normal, maybe a little bit drier than normal actually, through the month of August. And in terms of the temperature, it isn't showing a particularly warm month, which I'm quite surprised about. I expect to be warmer than that. Nevertheless, the temperatures are still on the warmer side of average. It's average to slightly above average temperatures. But with that sort of anomaly setting up, high pressure to the east of the country, winds going into the south or southeast, I would suspect that would be a pretty hot month in August if that came off. And then finally we go through to the third monthly period, which remember is September. And what we see in September is the high pressure building in right over top of the country, and there it is on the 500 millibar height anomaly view again, showing that the above average heights right in there over the country. So it's a very settled month coming up, if that is correct. Rainfall should be coming out drier than average, and that's what the model is showing, average to below average rainfall there across the country. Again, not significantly dry, and I would expect it to be drier than that based on the 500 millibar height anomaly prediction. I expect a very dry month in September. It's typically a dry month anyway, and the temperatures are coming out well, slightly above average. Again, nothing exceptional, and that's probably about right actually, because with high pressure sitting right over the top of the country, what you have to remember is that whilst days could be quite warm in the sunshine, by night the nights are getting longer, so it would offset the warm days with some chillier nights, maybe even some early ground frost. So once you average it all out, you probably won't get a deviation in terms of temperatures that far from average. Probably on the milder side of average, but certainly not a very warm month, unlike what we see in August, which I would suspect would be a very warm month based on that. So all very speculative, just for fun really, but those are the monthly periods broken down into 3 monthly periods from the Japanese model, and overall it's looking like a pretty decent period actually coming up. Once we get July out of the way, which is more unsettled month, it does look like August and September both have the potential to be quite settled and particularly warm in August. We'll have to see how it goes. It's all very experimental really. Going through to the weather for next week, a bit of a change on this morning's GFS model. It wants to take the high pressure right out into the middle of the Atlantic and begin to reach it up towards Greenland, which has the event decided to push down winds from the north, so cooler winds start to come down across the country through next week. Here's the chart for Tuesday, a week away, Tuesday 24, proper sort of northerly winds setting in there. That wouldn't be particularly warm, I have to say, but of course this could be overdone. I think the GFS is probably overdoing this, to be honest. I don't think we're going to get winds backing right way up to the Arctic, but if we did, it would be pretty cool through the course of next week. This low pressure will be bringing in showers as well to northern and eastern parts of the country, and as we go through to the latter half of next week, if anything, things are deteriorating with low pressure sort of taking over quite a bit. So showers really is the order of the day, and cool northerly winds next week, if that's right. But I think it's probably a bit over the top from the GFS actually. That here's the E70 map, and it isn't quite as over the top as the GFS. Nevertheless, we do see winds slowly backing into the north as we go through the third half of next week. So yeah, we do bring cooler air down into the country through the first part of next week, and maybe some showers in the northern east. But then this ridge of high pressure starts to build back in off the Atlantic, so we quickly cut off that northerly flow. That's pushed off to Scandinavia, and we settle things down through the middle of the week. Won't be particularly warm because we've got the northerly setting in for a day or so before that high pressure builds in. So probably temperatures about average, really. It could be a little bit chilly by night. And then as we go through to the end of next week, well, again, maybe the suggestion that low pressure is beginning to not take over, but certainly pressure is beginning to leak away. Perhaps increasing the risk of showers through the latter half of next week. And of course, this is the Glastonbury period, but I've been doing updates on the events page about in recent days, and it's a bit complicated actually this morning. What's going on? Quite complex pattern could be setting up for the latter stages of next week, so I've got to keep an eye on it. It could be turning more showery. So that's it. That's the 3 monthly update anyway from the Japanese model. It does look as though we could be in for quite a hot August, if that's right. We'll have to keep an eye on this. And in terms of next week's weather, maybe some cooler air coming down from the north, but whether that comes off, and I think the GFS is probably a bit over the top with that, we'll have to wait. And so it's 5-day forecast tomorrow, so come back for that. I hope you found the 3 monthly update interesting, and that's all for now. Thanks for watching.